Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever it is you are listening in from. Welcome to my love letter to the world. My name is Imaan Selene, and I am excited to get into today's episode. Before we start, just a couple of housekeeping items, if you will. I'm sure you have noticed that the name of this podcast has changed. And the reason for that change is because I just feel like this name suits the podcast a lot more. Like I said, I feel like this podcast is my modern day love letter to the world. So that's kind of me signing off with love, and truly everything that I say in this podcast and through all these episodes is said with love. It's coming from a place of love, and it's just my ultimate goal is to have more love for myself, to give more love to other people, and to just love my life and love everything. So I thought this was a really great way, a great name change for the pod, okay? But you may have noticed that there was another name change as well. I used to go with Imaan Walji, and now my name on this podcast is Imaan Selene. And I want to actually talk to you guys about that a little bit. I want to share the story of how I landed on that and what the hell is going on with that. Because it is a little bit of a story and it kind of segues into today's topic. So before I tell you guys that story, get comfy, get your tea, get your popcorn, and, or cozy into your seat if you're listening to this while you're driving. And let's just get into it. So, for some context, my legal name is Imaan Walji. I do have a middle name. My middle name is my dad's first name, and my last name, Walji, is my dad's last name. So my entire name is Imaan, and then my dad's first name and last name, okay? And just for some more context on who I am and, my history and whatnot, I do not have a relationship with my dad, nor have I ever had one, point blank, period. That is just the truth. There's no shade, no negative feelings, nor do I have anything against him. But the truth of the matter is that I just have never had a relationship with him. So my connection to my name, my last name, has always been very indifferent. I didn't really care for it, but to me, it's just who I was, Imaan Walji. That's just what my name has been, just what it's always been. My middle name, I haven't really been obsessed with throughout my life, but it's kind of just there, It wasn't until I graduated from university that it had my full legal name on the degree that I realized I wasn't really messing with that anymore. I didn't like the fact that I had my name that I didn't really feel anything towards attached to a huge accomplishment of mine. And especially because it was my dad's first and last name, when I felt like he hadn't been there throughout the journey, of me going to university and all of that. I just didn't feel like it was giving credit to the right players in my life. And I do hope to do great things in this world. And when I do those great things, it will be my name attached to those things. And I want to feel like it is really who I am and it's something that I'm proud of. And it comes with a family that I feel is my real family. And that's the precursor, the context. But whatever. I had my degree, whatever, nothing happened. I continued living my life as we do, right? We keep it rolling. And then it wasn't until last year that this was a completely unrelated topic. I wasn't actually thinking about, my name or anything like that. I was actually reflecting internally and thinking about how I want to show up in this world. I felt like I was lacking confidence, maybe lacking boundaries, lacking courage and fearlessness to just show up as my authentic, true self. And those were qualities that I was looking to strengthen within myself. So I was like, I really want to be this confident person. I want to be more bold. I want to, command more of a presence when I walk into a room, whether that be internally, externally, with my clothing or whatever it was. I just really wanted to upgrade myself in that sense. And I think when it comes to wanting to build confidence or whatever, there is this advice that gets thrown around a lot, which is fake it till you make it, or visualize the highest version of yourself and show up as that person. And the reason that advice lands and works for so many people is because it's almost easier to pretend to be something that you're not until you actually become it. The idea of being something that you view as being so far away from what you are right now, it could feel almost impossible to grow into that person. And that's why people say fake it till you make it. And I'm just speaking in the qualities that I was looking to strengthen, but it could be anything. It doesn't have to be confidence and courage. It could be something else, right? So if you pretend to be confident, you will naturally embody the qualities of a confident person. And when you do it enough times, you will just be that person. So I decided that I was going to make, and this was my own little personal project, okay? It was just for fun, something I was doing on the side. But I was like, I'm going to make an alter ego. And that's going to be my way of showing up in a way that I want to. Like, I will create this entire persona of a person, my highest version of myself. Who is she? What does she look like? What does she wear? How does she talk? How does she show up around her friends or on her coworkers? And I decided to give this person a name. I was like, I have to give this alter ego a name. And then I will then ask myself, what would she do? And how would she act in this type of scenario and act accordingly? So I'm not going to lie. I was kind of going back and forth with ChatGPT, trying to think of a name. I gave Chat the whole lowdown. I was like, look, Chat, I'm making an alter ego for myself. She embodies such and such qualities, but I want to give her a name. Let's work on something together. So Chat and I went back and forth a little bit, and it suggested the name Selene. And obviously you guys know where this is going, but there's actually another really, really cool part to this story. So just stick with me for a second. So suggested the name Selene. Immediately I was like, I love that name, Selene. That's going to be the name of my alter ego. And at this point, like I said, I wasn't intending on changing my name or whatever. I was just trying to build a certain skill set within myself. And I would ask myself, what would Selene do? And I would show up as Selene, this persona that I've created in my head with all of the qualities that I want to embody. Then I just started loving the name Selene so much. I would play around with it. For example, going to Starbucks, and when they asked me my name, I would just say Selene, Or I went to a music festival and met these random people in line, and they're like, what's your name? And I'm like, Selene. It was just, I was having fun with it, I was toying around with it. It was just whatever. But I loved the name so much. And I was like, suddenly I had the idea of changing my middle name to Selene. Because like I said, right now my middle name is my dad's first name, and I'm not the biggest fan of the name in general, right? So I'm like, maybe I should change my middle name to Selene. And then I'm thinking, why not just change my whole name to Imaan Selene Ibrahim? So Ibrahim is the last name of my mom and my uncles and my grandpa, who are the only people in this whole world, other than my grandma, but the only people who I feel like are my real, genuine family, And I'm like, Ibrahim just makes sense, because I kind of had this thought in my head, why would I claim the name of a family and a person that has never claimed me? And anyway, so I had all these thoughts and feelings, and I come home and I tell my mom, Mom, I think I'm going to change my name to Imaan Selene Ibrahim. And the craziest thing is that, and I actually kind of knew this, but I totally forgot, my mom, when she was pregnant with me, actually wanted to name me Imaan Selene as my middle name. And I guess my dad didn't want that name or whatever the case was, so they didn't. But she wanted to name me Imaan Selene. When I came to find that out, I was like, okay, the stars are aligning. I have to do this, and I have to go by this name. And it's so funny because just the other day, I'm flipping through this photo album that I had with all these baby photos, and my mom had written a bunch of notes in it. And one of the notes she had written in there is, I really wanted to name you Imaan Selene, just so you know when you get older. And I'm just like, what the heck? I kind of knew that, but I swear to God, guys, I'd completely forgotten that. So Selene was a name that I thought Chat gave me, okay? But really, my mom did it first. Anyways, so that's why I changed my name to Imaan Selene on this podcast and on social media. And it kind of segues into today's topic, because it's not just the name that I, love and resonate with so much. It's what it also represents, because Selene is someone who embodies all of these qualities that I want to embody, right? And that I think in a lot of ways I am. As more time has gone by, I don't view Selene as separate from me, but it's taken time to get there and to feel like it's me. And it's the same thing about faking it till you make it. Like, you fake it until one day it is just who you are. So that kind of leads me to this idea that no matter who you are or what patterns you think you may have, you can change them if you so decide to, right? If you want to change things, if there are characteristics within you that you want to develop or qualities that you want to embody that you don't think you do, it's not that difficult. You just have to decide to be that person. It all starts with that choice, with that decision. And I was talking to one of my friends kind of about this years ago, because I had noticed a lot of shifts within myself where I was like, my values are changing, my perspectives are changing. And it really opened me up to realize that, like, you can literally change everything about yourself and your life if you decide to. And my friend at the time had said, but Imaan, people at their core do not change. At the end of it all, at your core, you don't change. And I don't know if I fully agree with that, because what does that even really mean? Like, if you peel back all the layers and you go down to your core, what is that? What is your core? To me, your core is the essence of your being, your soul, really, not your personality. Your personality is kind of how you present yourself to the world, and it's who you are, but it's based on your response to your environment. For example, the country that I've grown up in has definitely shaped my personality, right? It's shaped my values. If I was born and raised in a different country with different cultural norms and different perspectives and different political views, maybe my personality would be different. So literally, it's based on my environment and all these events that happened and the way I responded to those events, or the environment that I'm in. If you introduce something new to your environment, or if you take yourself out of your environment, you might change. Your life experiences might change the way you think and the way you view life and the things that you value. And the thing is, if what you value changes, then your personality changes, because we carry ourselves and we show up based on what our values are. But I think our values can change, because, life does its thing. Life will do its thing and, throw you into some crazy experiences, and you'll be like, what I believed to be true once, I don't believe to be true anymore, and I don't value this thing anymore, right? What I'm trying to say is that you get to decide how you want to define yourself. There is no limitation, or there is nothing that you're bound by when it comes to who you are and how you want to show up and who you want to be. Because you really are, at your core, you are your soul. And your soul is just this big energy. That's how I interpret it. That's how I view it. I know some people might say it's a spirit or a ghost or whatever, but for the purpose of this video, let's just say it's energy. And the thing about energy is that it's not something that you can grasp. Like, think about the air all around us, right? We know it's there and it's just everywhere, but we can't grasp it. We can't contain it. So that's how I view energy. And I view our bodies, our physical bodies, as the thing that contains it, right? So my body is just the container of my soul. My soul is not defined by anything. My soul existed before all these environmental factors dictated what my personality was. So at my core, what really am I then? If you go deeper, if you dig, if you peel past every layer that you think defines you, you will get to a place where you're like, who really am I? What am I at my core, in my soul? Everything that I think I am is literally based on environmental factors. What if I was born as a boy? Or what if I was born with siblings? What if I was born in another country? My whole personality might be different, because the way that I view the world would be different, right? It's just your response to your environment. I do think that things happen for a reason. So I do think I was born, in this family, at this time, in this place for a reason. But the truth is, I could have been born in any place, in any time, to any family, and it would have still been me, because it's my soul that would have like incarnated into a human body. The actual soul within, if you were to go beyond your body, like let's say, God forbid that I died, my soul, I believe, lives on. So what even is that? It's just this boundless, limitless, undefined energy. And I could change my personality at a whim now that I realize that it's based on all these arbitrary things. I guess all I'm trying to say is that you're not bound or limited by anything. You get to decide how you want to show up, who you want to be. There's nothing that stops you from being the person that you want, right? And from having the life you want, for that matter. And also, you're not defined by the choices you've made in the past, because the past doesn't exist anymore. And I've said this in another video, the only moment that really exists in real life is this moment right now, this current moment. So the only thing that can actually define you is the choice you make in this moment, not the choices you've made in the past or your intentions for the choices that you want to make in the future, right? Like, I could sit here and say, oh, I want to go to the gym tomorrow, and that's my intention for tomorrow, but that doesn't define me because tomorrow doesn't exist yet. In the same vein, I could say, oh, I never work out, I never make the choice to go to the gym, and that's just who I am. But I can change that if I make that choice right now in this moment. I can be someone who goes to the gym if I be that person right now in this moment. So the point of that is to say that the only thing that really defines you is who you decide to be right now and how you decide to act right now. And I understand that, there are plenty of things that are deep rooted. We have patterns that are hardwired into our brains. I get that. I know we all know the buzzwords about unlearning things and rewiring our brains, and it takes 21 days to build a new habit, which I don't even think that's true. I think it actually takes more than that. But it doesn't mean that it's impossible. Just because things take time, which again is I'm going to get too deep now, but these are all human limitations, right? These are all physical 3D human limitations because that's the realm that we live on. So things might take time to unlearn and rewire, but it's not impossible. It's not impossible. I have seen people change like night and day. I personally have had so many changes within myself, and it's because I decided that I want to be a different person. I want to be more confident. I want to be more extroverted. When I was in university, I used to say I have social anxiety. I wouldn't talk to people. I was very shy. And I'm not trying to invalidate that because it was a real thing that I was experiencing, but I gave it so much power to define who I was that I just continued to act in that way. That would continue to create the socially anxious person. I wasn't doing anything to try to overcome it at the time. Kind of like my aunt. Okay, I have an aunt who I love dearly, and if she's listening, I love you, and I'm sorry. I'm gonna call you out. We were talking about going to the gym. It always comes back to the gym for some reason, but that's always like the example, I guess. It's just a good example to fall back on. But anyway, we're going to the gym, and she was talking about how she wants to get back in shape and go to the gym, build a habit. But she was also saying, but Imaan, I always do this stuff and then I get demotivated. And she's like, that's just who I am. I'm not that person. I'm not that motivated, driven person. It's just not who I am. And that bothered me because it was like she already decided that that's who she is. So none of this matters now. And lo and behold, she did fall off of the gym. And that's probably what she's continued to prove to herself throughout her life and with her choices that she's made. But then she's also making the decision to continue being that person. The minute that you say, oh, I'm just like this, you're deciding that you're like that. You're not actually like that. You can overcome that. You can change. You can make different choices every single day. But when you give it that much power and say, this is just how I am, it's just how you will be. Right? And some people don't want to change, and that's okay. There are plenty of things about myself that I love and that I don't want to change, right? And I'm happy with that. But there are plenty of things within myself that I do want to grow and I want to experience and I want to embody. And I think that's constant, right? So I'm not saying that you have to change and you have to, be this person. But if you want to, it's just a decision. It's just a choice you make. It's not like you have the personality that will stop you from getting there, because your personality is just predicated on a bunch of environmental factors. It could have been different had you been somewhere else. So you can respond differently now that you know that. And even if you've made certain decisions up until this point in your life, you don't have to continue making those decisions. Even if you've made bad choices, you can just change your mind, change your mind, change your life. I know I sound like some corny, whatever, life coach right now, but it's true. It's true. You want to change your life? Just change your mind. You define who you are in this moment. I actually literally have a collarbone tattoo. It says undefined. And it's because it just serves as a reminder to me every single day that nothing defines me other than how I choose to be defined. I get to decide who I am and how I want to define myself, right? I get to make that decision. If I wanted to go rogue right now and make a crazy decision, I literally could, and it would change the entire trajectory of my life, right? And it's like I would almost jump into a different timeline at that point. And that's kind of the point. Like, you are, oh my God, this is so corny, and we've all heard this before, but you are literally one decision away from changing your whole damn life. I don't know why we get in our heads and we get so stuck where we are, and we think that we are bound by all of these arbitrary things, but we're not bound by anything. We can be whoever we want to be. You can be who you want to be. And you're allowed to change your mind at any point in your life. You don't have to hold on so tightly to the personality or the things that you value if you feel like those things are shifting. It's okay to let them shift. It's okay to make a different decision. It's okay to color outside the lines, you know? And that's, yeah, like, I mean, I changed my name and stuff, but the truth is you don't have to do that to be a different person. You can change how you appear outwardly, but it doesn't really matter. Like, you can do those things to help you get there, but the truth is nothing outside of you has to change in order for you to change and for you to make different decisions. It's only how you respond to everything outside of you that will create that new person, that will create that new environment or that new trajectory for your life. And I feel like people they get really stuck with these limiting beliefs, and I get it because they feel so real, but there are no limits. There are no limits in this world. You, at your core, like I said before, at your core, you are boundless, limitless, endless, timeless energy. That's what you are. Everything outside is just a vessel. Your personality is just predicated on all these factors that have created you to be the beautiful person that you are today. You can change those things. You have the power to change those things. I don't really have much else to say, but before I leave, I will impart one thing, which is something I had actually written when I was in university. I was like sitting around in the library and having all these deep thoughts. So I'm just going to read you guys this thing that I wrote. Again, for some of you, it might sound senseless or, you know, foo-foo, woo-woo, kumbaya stuff. But if you get it, you get it. And just stick with me, okay? Because I know at the beginning it sounds a little scandalous, but that's not the direction that this is going. It's not a fancy poem or anything. It was just my thoughts. But yeah, just stick with me. I want you to strip. Take off that shirt and those pants and whatever else you're wearing. Remove the makeup and the jewelry. Strip down till you are completely bare. Now I want you to strip away your culture and strip away pop culture. Strip away your friends, your family, all your relationships. I want you to strip away politics and movies and TV and music. I want you to strip away the opinions of your best friend, of your boyfriend, girlfriend, mother, father, sister, and brother. Strip away your relationships, strip away your memories, strip away your experiences, strip away your job, your school, your favorite book. I want you to strip away the concepts of good and bad, right and wrong, kind and unkind. Now look in the mirror. Who are you? I encourage you guys to go on a journey of self-discovery and try to see if you can answer that question. All right, with that, I will leave you. I hope you guys have a lovely rest of your day, and I will catch you next time. Bye.